In this video, I'll be doing the talking and Charlton will be doing the listening. Charlie?
Will, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, Charlie?
Well, you called me here, so what do you wanna talk about?
Well, I thought we'd discuss my new position. I recently took a new position with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and it has caused a lot of transition in my life, both positive and negative. And I live about 45 to 50 minutes out of a cattle farm, and I'm not really in a position to sell it because it was inherited and it's been in my family for 4 generations, and so it's not something that I can easily or would part with unless it was just something catastrophic. So I have that in conjunction with desiring to keep from that commute daily, and finding a place there closer to there. And then my children live. I'm divorced, and I have 2 kids, a daughter and a son, and they live in the location of the same town as my new position. So I'm going through the transition of finding another place to live and actually having to leave someplace that I have always considered home. So I came back this last time and I thought, well, I'll be there for good. But as it worked out, that is not the case. And so I'm having to leave home reluctantly, but in some ways reluctantly, in some ways not so reluctantly. I'm glad for the challenge and seek a new residence. So I have that, and I'm trying to acclimate into the new position. I work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife now. I'm their administrative officer for the region, and I am surrounded by people that I'm completely blown away, enamored, and have just an immense amount of respect for. They are highly educated, they're passionate, they're driven, and so sometimes I feel like I've been thrown into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. And I'm privileged, I feel privileged and honored to have the position, but sometimes I don't feel worthy of it. And and it is a federal position, and I am the only veteran there, so that's been known, and not in a negative light, but a positive light. So they expect me to also represent something that I don't completely feel comfortable of representing. An entire segment. That's a big burden. So I want to do well.
It's completely understandable.
I want to do well. I want to be, if I'm having to represent veterans, then I want to represent them in a good light. I don't feel worthy to be that representative, but veterans are near and dear to my heart. It's a special cause of mine, and so there is that too. So I guess there's a sense of unworthiness and a little bit of ineptness. So I'm still trying to find my way with the position. In the meantime, I have all these personal issues, like a new residence and having 2 homes and the upkeep of 2 homes. Thankfully, one of the biggest burdens that most people have to deal with is financially. And in that sense, the federal government, more than, they bless me in the sense that I don't have that burden, but the burden of actually keeping it up physically. 2 places. Should I rent one? Should I rent my farm, my home? Should I use it for a weekend house? So just a lot of different issues that I've been going on the last several weeks, month, I should say.
Yeah. So just so that I'm tracking what you're saying, you've taken this new position, so many different aspects of your life changing. There's many challenges that come with this new position, just acclimating yourself to it, transitioning into it. Also the commute, whether or not, and I think you said this, did you find another home, or are you still looking to find another residence?
I've looked at a couple. I've not settled on one yet, and I think some of that has to do with the apprehension of actually reluctantly leaving.
Yes.
My other residence.
So you're dealing with so many different aspects, and it can be very, very challenging, I know. So
and not to interrupt, but I should also say that I'm in a master's program right now.
But
So I've got that as well to deal with.
so yeah, you have work going on. You got school going on. You got
Yeah.
being a father,
Yeah.
new job transition, and I understand the whole reluctance to part with the farm. And me personally, I don't think you should. I think you should keep that because it sounds like it's something very dear to your heart. So
Absolutely.
I would say, if it were me, and I'm not trying to give you advice, or I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I would try to find something that maybe would work during the week because you said your children live in the same general area as your job.
As the new position.
So, that could be, like you said, a weekend home or something like that. So, it's just finding a good balance, I think, and trying to find something that's going to, make you happy for the meantime.
And I've kind of come to some of those conclusions. Like I say, I couldn't be more blessed with the position. I walk around many times thinking, am I good at this? Have I got this right, or is there something I'm missing?
Yeah.
So thus far, things that have been, I won't say thrown at me, but the responsibilities of the position have been easily met. And what they tell me on the short-term grading of my performance excelled at. I take that as a huge compliment. I try not to read too much into it because, as I say, I am still acclimating. But I feel very comfortable with it. It's one of the few times in my life that I've taken a position that I was just, as far as my own personal feeling of do I want to be here, I'm 100%, and that's unusual for most people in this day to say, this is where I want to be. I just hope that I do it justice. I hope I do the people I work for justice because as that administrative officer, I'm the one that's certifying their time and making sure that the budgets fit and move funds and different things around for them and the supplies that they would need to send that on over to procurement. And so I want to make sure, I'm in a good place and that I know my position and I want to be down there so that I can better support and serve those individuals that are my colleagues that I work with. So I think most of the pressure, I guess I shouldn't say most, thus far all of the pressure that has been put on me has been placed on me by myself. And I'm just trying to weed through some of that stuff now.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like you've, not to say you've mastered your job in the last few weeks since you've taken it, but the feedback you're getting from your supervisors should be very motivating. That it should be a positive reinforcement. But it's also not a bad thing to put pressure on yourself because like me, you're probably like me in the fact that you're probably your own worst critic, and I'm extremely hard on myself, so I can definitely relate and empathize with you in that area that you are your own worst critic and you hold yourself to a high standard and there's nothing wrong with that, but it can get to a point where you beat yourself up to where you feel like nothing you do feels good enough. And I heard you say a few times you just didn't feel like you were worthy, being that veteran face in the department, also living up to expectations. You didn't feel like you were worthy. It's sometimes you got to give yourself credit, but I definitely can relate to you there. I'm the same way. So,
and that is true. That's absolutely true. I do expect more out of myself, and sometimes like you say, I think that is a good thing. At least it shows that that we care enough about whatever the given situation is.
Absolutely.
To give it thought. But sometimes you can think too much and analyze too much. And so lately I've just been trying to ease back, and I've kind of stepped back from the house shopping. And I've just eased back and said, I'm going to take all this in and enjoy it and acclimate to it and let it flow more freely. And so since in the last few days, it has gotten eased up the tension and stuff a little bit because my semester's coming to an end. So there's the anticipation of what's next and moving forward to complete the program, and then there is as well the job itself is settling in and we go.
Lost the TV for a second. Or, sorry, the computer.
So there's that. But I think things are getting better.
Good. And it sounds like it. You know, you have to give yourself a break, too. You're in the middle of transitioning. You've got a new job. You're trying to balance school. You're trying to be a father. You're trying to raise kids. You're transitioning houses, residence. So, just, give yourself a break and just, absolutely try your best, but also be kind to yourself. And I think you're doing a great job, and I think you're moving in a very positive direction.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, thank you for the conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate talking to you.